whether or not that logic is generated inside the platform. So it'd be possible to have a master version of this data set, as well as time-based versions, branches we would call them, based on when the data was uploaded. So we can configure this in a variety of ways to help make that change in the data manageable.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that's part of one of the technical work streams in terms of data versioning and publishing. So I see there's some other questions. I'm not sure we'll have the time to discuss some of the Palantir analytic capabilities. I think that we'll learn more about that as different users are onboarded and we get trained up. Who'll be able to report back here, and we'll have some future presentations from Palantir on that. Okay, yeah, how about we go ahead and move forward. We'll capture these questions and we can answer some of them offline. Thanks, Chris. Okay, so in the last 10 minutes, I'd like to describe some of the new work streams that are being developed, and I'm going to call these sub-work streams because they are within this analytics work stream, for lack of a better term. So there's 3 areas that have been identified that we need to form groups, and the intention is that these are again really boots on the ground, people who are meeting as frequently as needed, and hopefully are smaller than than this group is, to be able to operate effectively. And so we're starting with 3. I think others might evolve over time. The 4th one here, platform and infrastructure, I'm not going to describe that. That's going to be primarily an NCATS and Palantir purview along with CD2H in terms of how we kind of support these other sub-work streams. So let me quickly describe some of them, and then how I hope others will be able to onboard and begin to participate. So portal and dashboards, this will really contain 2 components, an external facing component. It'll be essentially the entry point for the research community to learn about what the platform provides, how they can onboard, access the system, get approval for the DAC to do analysis and begin to pose their research questions, and also just provide general summaries for the public to understand what N3C is doing and what this platform provides. And then there'd also be an internal system for more granular dashboards, and we already heard some of the information described, such as data quality checks that the Odyssey system can provide, but also other summaries that we hope will kind of foster collaboration and cross group activities. So we want to be able to summarize kind of who's doing what resources are provided, what activities are underway. So this is what I'm calling internal dashboards. And Dave Eichmann is going to be a co-lead with this. We're looking for additional co-leads as well. So those are still being identified, and we hope to share that soon. The second sub-work stream would be tools and resources. The purview of this group is to identify existing tools and resources. So I say existing because the purview is not to go out and develop a bunch of new tools, but really what is the community using large, with best of breed, and what is going to really facilitate the end users in doing their science and analysis. And so some tools such as cohort discovery and data analytics will be needed. Andrew Williams has kindly offered to co-lead this, and we're looking for other co-leads as well. The third sub-work stream is a very critical one. This is what we're calling questions and examples. And this really is to convene the scientific and clinical community to define key use cases. We want to ensure that this platform is being developed to be able to actually solve real questions. And so we want to make sure that we are working, engaging with those people who actually have knowledge about these questions and help formulate how to study them. And so once we've identified these questions and and collate different use cases, we want to be able to develop worked examples of these. And so we can help other people by example of how to work in the system. And Peter Robinson and Heidi Spratt will be co-leading this. So let me just kind of quickly go through these in a little more detail. I forgot I actually had these detailed slides. I just kind of spoke through them, but let's quickly review. So portal dashboards, as I said, access requests and approval mechanisms through the DAC. Data dashboards, including builds and releases, will be published there, as well as data summaries, such as counts by region and institution, research dashboards in terms of the activities that people are doing, as well as the applications that are being developed. So I call this application dashboards. So when models, algorithms, or services or microservices are being generated, we want to publish these and share these so others within the system can access them. So the types of skills that we will need for this group to be effective include users who are trained on the Palantir systems. We need designers, web engineers, query experts. Knowledge of SQL will obviously be very useful here. So for the tools and resources group, everything is kind of resting on this OMOP 5.3.1 instance. And we can imagine various stacks that will help extract insight from this database. Obviously, the Palantir tool stack will be very useful, and we heard that they provide a lot of functionality that kind of emulates other notebook-like environments with multiple libraries. So that kind of comes out of the box, and I think that'll provide a lot of functionality. But we also recognize there's other tools and environments that people might want to work with in other languages. We want to identify that. Different libraries and ML packages that people might want to use, the environments such as RStudio and Jupyter Notebooks or GitLab, to the extent that they can be integrated and still work within the governance model. We'll want to incorporate that. We know the Odyssey community has a very rich tool set, and we were going to demo Leaf as a patient cohort identifier. We're not going to have time. Apologies to University of Washington, but maybe the next call we can get a demo. And other resources, such as the translator knowledge graphs and other data resources that we want to make sure are integrated into this environment. And so that'll be the purview of the tools and resources sub-workstream. Again, knowledge of Palantir will be critical. We need clinical informaticists, developers, engineers, and community liaisons, for example, those who are working in the Odyssey community. And finally, the questions of worked examples. If you build it, they will come. We know that's not true. We have to not only build it, but we have to show people how it can be used and how it can be used to answer very meaningful and clinical questions. So we want to work with experts throughout this network, through CTSA network and elsewhere, to make sure that we are identifying those questions. We're thinking through them deeply, thinking about the tool stack that's needed to address them, make sure that we have the data that's required to answer them, and make sure that the N3C platform is designed in a way that's well poised to help answer these questions, identify additional data that we might be able to link with, and actually, what most importantly is show people how this platform can be used to answer questions using different tool stacks. So we're going to have examples in Python, examples in R, and using different libraries and environments. So to the extent we can create very well documented notebooks that describe how to go from A to Z for a particular question analysis, we want to provide that. So this is going to require a lot of expertise from many domains. Of course, clinical and scientific experts will be needed across many disciplines. We'll need modelers in machine learning and stats, scientific developers who are familiar with RStudio, notebooks, Shiny, and of course the Palantir environment. So those are the people we're looking to join. So let's quickly describe next steps, because we're just forming those, and so it's important that we get folks who are interested to sign up. So we're still finalizing these work streams in terms of who's going to be leads. If you have a burning interest, please reach out to me. If you just want to be a contributor, feel free to click on this link here, Workstream sign up. this will take you to a web page here, or actually to a Google spreadsheet where you can enter in your name, email, institution, and your interest in the primary and secondary work stream. And also there's a checkbox to say if you want to be onboarded with Palantir. We'll send this out with a summary of this meeting, so you'll have direct access to the link. But if you already have access to this presentation, then you should be able to click on the link right here. These sub-work streams will be responsible to report out in this meeting here. We want to understand the activity and progress. I've already described how we have the first wave. It's actually not meant to be in, let's just say Palantir. So we have the first wave who will be onboarded soon to Palantir and have training. And we're interested in the second wave of users who will be granted access and can go through training as well. And again, if you can sign yourself up in these work streams, that would be incredibly useful to get these launched and get them productive. I'm going to go ahead and put this link in here in the chat as well. Oh, I see. People are pointing out that they need to log into Google. I think that this is open. I believe this is open to the public. There's nothing sensitive about this.
Maybe Justin, we can send once I send out the notes, I can send this out.
Okay, perfectly. Is it true that, Melissa, you need to have a Google account to be able to enter into a public spreadsheet?
Most things that we have require you to be logged in order to be able to edit, so that we can make sure we don't get spamming. So I'm going to suggest, I mean, you can change that, but then we will get spamming. So I would really highly recommend that people use a Google account. That said, NCATS is perfectly happy to provide them, and we can assist if you have any issues. One last quick thing I wanted to say, I also wrote this earlier, is that I know that the questions and answers team is really kind of going to start thinking about this, but we really need to make sure that we have a really good understanding of what the sort of questions are that are not just clinical questions, but questions about resource allocation, questions about, you know, how to prioritize trials, drugs for repurposing, these kinds of things are match made with the people who can actually do the analytics in this environment to help address those. So I'd love to hear people's brainstorm thoughts in the Slack channel or on next calls for how to best envision a sort of, you know, kind of matchmaker model between needs and people who can actually do the data work to address those needs.
Great, thanks, Melissa. We're at the top of the hour. Any last words from NCATS, Usman or Ken?
No, I think yeah, maybe Ken might have something, but I think great discussion. So we'll send out the meeting notes by tomorrow. So everybody should have the information as well as the link to sign up.
Yep, please, I really encourage everyone to go to these work streams if you want to get involved and get deep into the work. That's where it's going to happen. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.